Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It is June 13th, 2023, and we are in the Old Testament book of Deuteronomy, and we're going to read chapter 15, just a short one today, verse 1 to 18. A few things that happen in this chapter. Well, before we get to that, I know I've said it a bunch of times, and you've heard me say it, and getting some questions on it. As a 21st century Christian, I'm not going back to the Old Testament to find things to do to add to Christ. I don't need anything more than Christ. We just talked about animals, what's clean, what's unclean. As a Christian, I don't need to worry about that. Jesus says it's not what goes into me that makes me unclean, it's what comes out of my mouth that's what makes me unclean, my words and my actions and my deeds. So why am I reading the Old Testament? Well, I'm reading the Old Testament to see. Tells me the nature of God, shows me how he wanted to relate to the Israelites and how he was trying to set them apart, but by having them do things that weren't ordinarily done by the people there. One of them was those dietary restrictions. Again, as I come forward to the 21st century, I don't have the dietary restrictions, but I still have that idea of God is setting us apart as Christians. But how are we set apart? Not with how we eat, it's how we act and carry ourselves, and we try and live a good life. We try and put sin behind us and put our sins to death. Look after the poor. Love each other. Be kind to each other. So the concept comes forward, but the actual specifics that were done in the Old Testament, we're going to leave those in the Old Testament. This section that we're getting ready to read is talking about canceling debts and freeing your slaves every 7 years. Again, we don't do that, but you know what? We treat people the way we want to be treated. We're not going to try and put them into poverty. Someone needs our help, we just help them. We don't say, "Oh, hey, here's my chance to get you under my control. I'll loan you money, but I'm going to charge you 45% interest, and you'll be beholden to me forever." No, we help people. Same idea, different way it was applied in the Old Testament, but we bring that idea of treating people kindly and treating people with love and respect. And it looks a little different in the 21st century, but the meat of it is still there. Hope that makes sense. All right, let's go ahead and we're going to read Deuteronomy chapter 15, verse 1 through 18. At the end of every 7 years, you shall grant a release of debts, and this is the form of the release. Every creditor who has lent anything to his neighbor shall release it. He shall not require it of his neighbor or his brother, because it is called the Lord's release. Of a foreigner you may require it, but you shall give up your claim to what is owed by your brother, except when there may be no poor among you, for the Lord will greatly bless you in the land which the Lord your God is giving you to possess as an inheritance. Only if you carefully obey the voice of the Lord your God, to observe with care all his commandments which I command you today, for the Lord your God will bless you just as he promised you. You shall lend to many nations, but you shall not borrow. You shall reign over many nations, but they shall not reign over you. If there is among you a poor man of your brethren within any of the gates in your land which the Lord your God is giving you, you shall not harden your heart, nor shut your hand from your poor brother, but you shall open your hand wide to him, and willingly lend him sufficient for his need, whatever he needs. Beware lest there be a wicked thought in your heart, saying, "The 7th year, the year of release, is at hand, and your eye be evil against your poor brother, and you give him nothing. And he cries out to the Lord against you, and it becomes sin among you. You will surely give to him, and your heart should not be grieved when you give to him, because for this thing the Lord your God will bless you in all your works, and in all to which you put your hand. For the poor will never cease from this land. Therefore I command you, saying, you shall open your hand wide to your brother, to your poor and your needy in your land. If your brother, a Hebrew man or a Hebrew woman, is sold to you and serves you 6 years, then in the 7th year you shall let him go free from you. And when you send him away free from you, you shall not let him go away empty-handed. You shall supply him liberally with your flock, from your threshing floor and from your winepress. And what the Lord your God has blessed you with, you shall give to him. You shall remember that you were a slave in the land of Egypt, and the Lord your God redeemed you. Therefore I commend you this thing today. And if it happens that he says to you, I will not go away from you, because he loves you and your house, since he prospers with you, then you shall take an awl and thrust it through his ear to the door, and he shall be your servant forever. Also to your female servant you shall do likewise. It shall not seem hard to you when you send him away free from you, for he has been worth a double hired servant in serving you 6 years. Then the Lord your God will bless you in all that you do. May God bless the reading of his word. May God bless you. Bye.